Hey guys, so this is working, but the link has changed because we had to do it a different way. So I think we just go about updating everyone.
Cool. Can you send me the link and I'll start doing that?
Ben, is the link for it just the one? Yes, Ben said he's going to share it with you, Megan.
Got it.
In other news, someone was like, is this going to start on gay time? I said, yes, so slightly delayed. Okay, start this. Are you guys ready? Awesome.
Yes.
Perfect. Sweet. Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone. Let's get started. Hi, thanks for hopping on. Welcome to the Codeup Pride and Tech panel. My name is Katie, and I am the compliance manager here at Codeup. I've been at Codeup for about 2.5 years now. And as someone who identifies as LGBTQ, I'm really excited about hosting this panel in recognition of Pride Month this month. So we are putting this panel on to allow some of our alumni from the community to show their experiences, and so we can continue to learn and grow in our understanding and support of the LGBTQIA+ community. So I'd like to start by having my 3 panelists introduce themselves. Go ahead, guys, and give me your name, what program you attended at Codeup, and what your current role is. So go ahead, and we can start with Ben.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Hodge. I was in the Teddy cohort for web development back in 2018. And I've been a web developer ever since. And I work for a computer vision robotics startup here in San Antonio. Currently in Atlanta, but, you know, close enough.
I'll go next. My name is Stephen Garris. I was in the data science cohort, ADA, the first one back in 2019. And I am currently a data analyst for LegalZoom, and I've been doing that for the last about 3 years.
Cool. Hey, everybody. My name's Tasha Rivers. Thanks for having me. I was in the Florence cohort for data science, and I currently work at Center Federal Services as a data engineering associate.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for sharing your information. So just so everyone knows, the panel will take about 45 minutes today. We'll have some questions lined up, but you have any other questions that you would like to get answered, please leave them in the YouTube live chat. So without further ado, question number one, and feel free to just jump in, my panelists, and if you don't want to answer, go ahead and just skip. So what inspired you to pursue a career in tech, and how did you end up doing what you do now?
I can take that. So I was actually just in a completely different field prior to going to Codeup. I was in law enforcement for 7 years. And with COVID and everything going on, my wife and I actually decided that, hey, maybe a different career would be better for us. So I looked into Codeup, and it looked like it was a great opportunity for somebody like me that didn't have any experience in data analysis or anything like that. And so that's how I got into tech, and I'm really glad that I made that choice.
Ben, you're next. I dovetail off you.
Okay, cool. Well, so before I got into this kind of field, I used to be in the military. Got out with a skill set that I didn't feel I could apply to anything I really was passionate about. I ended up going to college for video game design. It's a very competitive field, so I started doing these onesie twosie projects of making websites for people. I figured I was doing pretty well at it, but I did need a little bit more structure and help to get programming paradigms and understand a lot of the nuances of how writing code for a living works. And so that's what introduced me to Codeup, and that's kind of my little path there.
Nice. So I was originally a pharmacy tech with HEB. I didn't have any kind of technical expertise, and I'm married to Ben, and he went through the web dev course before me, and I saw how great and successful it was for him. So that really kind of encouraged me to kind of go through the program as well, because I was, it was like a kind of dead-end job. It was really kind of burned out of it. Really wanted to pivot into a different career that had, more, fulfilling, responsibilities, things like that. So I saw that they were starting a data science course. So I thought that would be cool to get into. So yeah, I applied, jumped in, kind of taught myself a little bit of Python coding before I went in, and it's just been a fun ride. One of the best decisions Ben and I have made for sure, going to Codeup.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate that. Also, we're so happy that you guys all joined the tech community. So congrats. So kind of switching gears onto more of the LGBTQ community. Is there any specific like storytellers, artists, influences, business professionals, or people in tech that inspire you?
The Fab Five on Netflix. I don't have like a single person that I'm really like gung ho about. But Anthony, he's cool. Whenever I start cooking, I put the rag over my shoulder. They're all really cool, inspirational people to look up to, I feel like. Back in high school, like Tyler Oakley, YouTube, things like that. Just when you're kind of testing the waters, just seeing people out there, it was kind of a cool thing. That's one person I remember as kind of a youth person. But nowadays, trying to kind of maybe forge my own path, things like that. So,
I don't know that I have anybody like specifically, but I just really appreciate all of our allies. I think that that's just something that stands out to me, like people that don't discriminate, or just our allies in general. That's something that I appreciate.
I think I'm on the same boat as Tasha. Like the only kind of person I really know who is part of this community was like Alan Turing back in like, World War II days, working on Enigma with Bletchley Park, with all the mathematicians breaking the Enigma stuff. And like that puzzle solving attitude was awesome. I mean, at the time it wasn't so great, but everyone has based their work off of work that someone from our community has basically created, and it's spawned entire industries and entire fields of mathematics. And it's pretty awesome to have like someone like us kind of forge their own path. Sorry, I heard you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll say Lady Gaga, but it's fine. One of mine. Sweet. So kind of on that same line. So really getting into it, what do you think corporate America, any companies, big or small, can do better to support the LGBTQ community?
Me. I think that this is one thing that Accenture Federal, well, there's a lot of things, but this is one thing that they do very well. They have employee resource groups, specifically LGBTQ plus employee resource groups. So we have like get-togethers, get to know your community, people in your community. And then aside from that, I think companies in general can do just to help their LGBTQ plus employees is healthcare that's more geared towards us. Like my wife and I currently, we're going through IVF, and that's just like not necessarily unique to our community, but it's something that without Accenture we wouldn't be able to do because they gear that towards our healthcare. So that's for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big thing too as well, because it's not something that a lot of people think about. And then at LegalZoom, we have that as well. They give us carrot benefits. They give you a little bit of benefits to help pay out for like infertility, things like that. And obviously that's something that, we can't do on our own. So we for sure need help. But yeah, like community groups like in Slack, things like that, letting people connect, hosting pride events, things like that, volunteering hours. Those are all things that help, just bring out more awareness.
Yeah, I would kind of piggyback on that one and say really awareness and kind of being conscious of the messages that you're both portraying externally as well as internally. Having conversations with people who come from all different backgrounds. It's kind of like the company's job to make sure that everyone's on a level playing field, everyone feels equal, included, and that everyone's opinion is valued. So one of the things that I would always recommend for companies just to do better is to, nip conflicts in the bud. Like, don't let it fester. Don't let, always maintain open channels of communication and make everyone kind of feel like they are all there for, like, everyone's a team. Everyone's happy. That's it.
Yeah, Ben, something that you said that really resonated with me was it's kind of the company's job. I was like, yeah, I think a lot of times our communities, like we put it on our backs, but the reality is that it should be their job, to essentially make these policies and things like that. But that's awesome that some of your companies really kind of participate in it. And I think that's a great step going forward. So kind of switching back onto you guys as yourselves, what obstacles, if any, did you or have you faced being a member of the LGBT community, either in tech or in general?
I don't think I faced any difficulties per se that I've at least been aware of or conscious of. I'm sure there's been maybe things that have happened like on prejudices or, discriminatory things, but I mean, there's nothing that I can honestly think, especially about at work. Our work is very inclusive and everything. So there's nothing that I've been exposed to that I've ever had to take part of. I've been thankful for that.
I'll definitely say that there's way more tech snobs than people who are like homophobic or like don't like our community. They're like, oh, you should use Python over JavaScript. And like, there's more arguments about that stuff than really anything. But like Stephen, his company is super inclusive. Our company is super inclusive, and everyone always feels recognized. And fortunately, I haven't had to go through any like those kind of hardships that I know a lot of people have, which just sucks.
So I pretty much agree with the guys. I would say that in tech, I haven't necessarily dealt with any discrimination, especially at AFS. They're like extremely inclusive of everyone, which I'm super appreciative of. I would say in my previous career in law enforcement, like I obviously was not the only lesbian law enforcement individual, right? But it's much more quiet. And it's a whole different vibe to work for a company where you are seen and you don't have to hide anything. And I can say my wife and people don't assume like, oh, your husband. Like, so it's completely different. I think that tech is really awesome in that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that kind of led me to another question, just kind of like a general discussion. Do you think that tech is an industry that has more inclusion, just in general?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone's more focused on the company's business problems than, kind of like internal, those kind of problems. It's awesome.
For sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So kind of the next question on that same wavelength, what advice would you give to individuals in this community interested in tech or transitioning their careers?
Don't be afraid to go for it, because like I didn't have any tech experience at all. So learning these Python coding skills, just taking a Udemy course, kind of teaching yourself a little bit on your own. It's not too bad, especially if you like kind of logic or critical thinking, stuff like that. You'll learn pretty quick. And then Codeup, they'll fill in all the gaps that you need to go to transition into your career field. So go for it. At least try to maybe learn a little bit on your own just to see if you do like coding, things like that. And then if you do, just maybe sit down, call Codeup and go for it. Don't be afraid.
I completely agree with Steven. I think that Codeup definitely fills in all those gaps. For me, it was like bigger than gaps. Like I had no clue. I like YouTube stuff, like what is Python, like just basic things, because I literally had no clue. And going through that, they were able to like fill that in for me. Data visualization, all the different libraries that you learn in data science, like it's amazing. But advice that I would give people, go for it. Don't be afraid to just get your foot in the door, even if it's just a start out job in data science. Like myself, for example, like with tech, there's so much space to move up and learn new skills. Like you're going to be continuously learning. So just give it a shot.
My biggest piece of advice is always like, this is such a trust-based industry where if you say something's going to take this long to do, everyone just believes you because you are essentially an expert in your field. You're constantly learning. It's very independent. And so if you can muster up the drive to be a self-teacher, to go out and learn things, to watch a YouTube video, to watch, like the internet is probably the greatest invention of all of mankind. And it is an endless repository of all this like computer knowledge, data science knowledge, like hardware knowledge. You just kind of need to know where to look. And that's where courses like Codeup and, even Udemy or Wikipedia articles can help you kind of hone your skills and figure out where to look and where to focus on. So yeah, don't give up.
Yeah, all great answers. I really appreciated that. So Tasha, you mentioned a little previously about allies. So I want to speak about that. How could someone as an ally be speaking up for the LGBT community? What are some ways in which they could support us more?
I would say just be inclusive. Don't judge somebody just because they're a part of this community. I think like particularly with those of us and those individuals in the community that are transitioning, they have a very hard time with people accepting them and accepting their transition. So I think that specifically with that, speak up for those people. If you see somebody, like, not to say like childish things like bullying somebody of any community, but specifically somebody who's marginalized like that, you should definitely stand up for them.
Totally my answer to you. You got it. Just make sure, like I was saying before, nip it in the bud. You have a lot of influence around you, the people who you interact with on a daily basis. Like, just talk, be openly communicate with each other, and it'll be a lot better for everyone.
Yep, I agree.
Awesome. So kind of speaking more into that, thinking of different ways that people can be inclusive, is there an appropriate way to kind of ask questions about language, pronouns? As someone from the community, what is y'all's opinion on that?
I would just say, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Like, if there's something you're comfortable with, let me know, and I'll do my best to accommodate you, kind of a thing. Because you don't want people to feel uncomfortable when you're talking with them. Just an easy kind of just rip the Band-Aid off at the start kind of thing. I would feel like.
I think one thing that a lot of companies that I've seen are doing that's pretty helpful is like here how we have like our pronouns like after our name. Accenture does that as well, like on your email, like she, he, or them, they, he, him. That way, people don't call you by the wrong pronoun. And if you don't have that resource, then yeah, just ask like, hey, what are you comfortable, with me calling you? I think somebody would rather you ask that than, call them incorrectly.
Yeah.
I'll go back to just say, be open and honest, and correct people. Correct people at the very beginning. Don't let it keep going. Like mispronouncing names is like a big one for me. But just having I would say like Steven, rip the Band-Aid. This is who I am. This is how we
Yeah, I really like that. I really like the asking up front, right? As opposed to farther down the road before you have a chance to misgender someone, for sure. Awesome. You guys are doing great. We have about 25 or so minutes left. So we only have a few more questions, and we can see if any of the viewers have a question. So one of our last ones would be, how could someone individually identify as an ally, or how would you want someone to come to you and say, and speak to them being an ally?
So I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry. I think that like being an ally is more of an action than just like saying, oh, I'm an ally. Like, if like I said before, if somebody is getting picked on or there's an event for LGBT community, like you can also attend. It's not exclusive to us. Like or I can speak for myself. I appreciate when there's other people that necessarily aren't part of the community showing up like to Pride events and everything in San Antonio. I think it's cool when somebody just shows up for us.
Yeah. Whenever like Ben and I are walking on the street or something and like we're holding hands, like I like it when people kind of like they see it and then they kind of like smile or they say like, oh hey, like love it kind of things. Like I like those kind of call outs. I think those are fun.
I think I'm with Tasha on this. It's actions speak louder than words. Again, like someone who's there to like help defend you or champion your cause is always a huge kind of benefit, and it comes from like a lot of unlikely people. Sometimes the most quiet person in the room like is like an avid defender of people's rights. It's awesome.
Yeah, I really liked showing up. I think that's a big one too, right? Not stating that you are, but actually showing up and really, really showing out for your support. Yeah, that's awesome. So next question would be, do you guys have any, or can you point all of our viewers to any great LGBTQ supporting organizations that you would like more people to know about, whether it's businesses, different things like that?
I guess now that COVID is kind of maybe running down and places are opening up, going to the Strip on St. Mary's, that's fun. We always need more people there.
Yes, I agree with that. I would say I actually didn't know about this place until a week ago when AFS had an event. We went for dessert at a place at the Pearl called Lick. It's an ice cream shop and it's LGBT owned. So I think it's kind of cool to support the community like that.
Yeah.
Go to the Strip. It's awesome. It's a lot.
And karaoke at Pegasus.
Yeah. The karaoke is great. The shows are great. The people are always super nice. It's a great experience.
Yes, I second both of those, both lick and karaoke at Pegasus. We could also shout out Pride is this Saturday in San Antonio, this Saturday on the 25th. So if anyone wants to come out, that's awesome. Sweet. So is there any other things that you three would like to speak on? Anything that you feel like you would just want everyone to know about your experiences, whether it's in tech or just being a member of the community in general?
I'm good. I think I've covered a lot. I think we've covered a lot.
I would say don't be afraid to be yourself. Like there's a place to work for everybody. There's a educational opportunity for everybody. There's a partner if that's what you want for everybody. So don't like shelter yourself and try to be this person that fits into this box. Like be who you genuinely are.
I just like number 5. It's a hard field for a reason. It's extremely satisfying for that reason, and you will learn a ton of stuff. In the kind of world of the computer science where I live, there's just a huge amount of stuff to learn that you have the rest of your life to do. And so it may sound intimidating, but there's just a ton of awesome things you can do with the skill set that you take from the start of your career to the end of your career. You'll touch a lot of different industries, you'll touch a lot of different technologies. And so long as you don't give up, just keep on going, you'll do great.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so now it looks like we have just a few questions in the chat. The first one was, how was your experience attending Codeup before formally entering the tech economy as an employee, as a member of the LGBTQ community?
I loved it. Codeup was great. They're very inclusive. They got these cool shirts. They're always at, SA Pride. So, there was no problems attending Codeup as a member of the LGBT community. They were all very inclusive, always felt welcome, had no problems with it. Loved it.
I think everyone for us was amazing. The entire staff was always great. Stephen Salas, if you're out there, Dimitri, they were all super nice to us. They walked us through the entire process. They helped us get connections and network. And it was probably one of the best decisions we've ever made, kind of introducing ourselves not only, to San Antonio, like, hey, we're here, but also to Codeup and all the tech community that comes along with Codeup as well.
I think Codeup was amazing. Shout out to all my Florentinos out there. We're all still very good friends. So it's like a family within Codeup that we like still hang out and we have like our own little group chat. But the experience was awesome. Like from the beginning, the test that you take beforehand, the whole experience. Maggie was an amazing instructor. Stephen at the end helped me with my placement at AFS. So I mean, I think like the resources within Codeup are definitely available. Just take advantage of everything you can and turn in everything that Stephen tells you to turn in ASAP.
Wise words. Awesome. So the next question from the chat, do you find that you are more or less defined by your LGBTQ identity within tech as compared to your previous careers?
I'm going to say less defined by it. I'm not put into a box, like Tasha was saying. I'm not siloed. I'm not separated or put into a corner. I'm just another one. In my previous careers, I was like in the military, I was in retail. It's like once you're out, it's a scary kind of decision. At least when I was in it. But nowadays, I think everyone has seen, at least where in my experience, like everyone's seen on the same level. That we're all, it's really the skills that we're doing.
Yeah, I agree with Ben. It's not like it is my identity, but I also have like a lot of other things. Like I'm African American, I'm a female, I'm part of the LGBT community, like all of those different components of me. I don't think that like in tech, it's necessarily like, oh, she's all of these boxes, let's check them. It's like, hey, she's intelligent. Hey, she knows Python. Like these different things that are almost a little bit more important than like, oh, she's a part of the LGBT community, you know? So yeah, I completely agree with Ben.
Same as well for those. I don't feel like, yeah, I mean, it's there. It's an important part of us, but it's not something that's like our key defining trait, maybe you could say, for work.
Yeah, for sure. All great answers. Awesome. So then one more question. What career advice would you give your younger self?
Well, I would have gotten into coding way sooner if I could have known I would have been this good at it. Because I got a degree in criminal justice and then like wasted so much time in the pharmacy. Like if I had just known like as how much I would have liked this course, and then I could have been doing it for an extra 10 years, kind of almost at this point. So start soon and start hard.
Yeah, same for me. I did a lot of other things prior to tech or Codeup or data science. I think that if I had started like those 7 years I spent in law enforcement doing Codeup or another program, or I also went to school for kinesiology because I thought I was going to be a sports trainer. Just a bunch of different things. Just follow what your like actual goals are. I also would have told myself like, hey, invest in Bitcoin, but I obviously didn't know that. But yeah, just follow your instincts.
I definitely kind of on the same boat as Steven there. I wish I would have started it sooner. I got out of high school and I was kind of like directionless. I was like, go to the army. And it was a great decision. It ended up paying for a lot of things for me, like before Codeup with the GI Bill, paid for my college. It was a great experience at the time. But unfortunately, I had no transferable skills moving from the infantry to anything I was actually remotely interested in. And I kind of wish I would have just chosen a different MOS in the Army first, like finance, cybersecurity, or give me something where I had those job transferable skills. But I'm here, it's fine. I learned it, and it's an awesome life so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are here now. That's what matters most, I suppose. Sweet. So kind of a fun one. How are you celebrating Pride this month? Whether it's relaxing because you deserve it or any other ways.
San Antonio Pride Parade.
Same. I don't know. I've been traveling with this last week. And I would like to take a nap with them. Big chunk of it right there.
Yeah, we're going to be going to the parade also. My little boy is 3, so it will be his first parade. And my wife got him a shirt that said, "I love my moms." So we're pretty excited about that. And AFS, we're having like we're a part of the parade. So I'll be marching with my coworkers. So that's kind of cool.
Wow, that is very cool. Being in the Pride Parade, that is quite the feat. I do love the parade as well. Yeah, awesome. I think that wraps up all of our questions. So just kind of a last final shout out. I really appreciate you 3 for being here for the panel. I think this has been really, really informative, and I'm sure everyone at home also appreciates it as well. So we'll go ahead and shout you guys out. And if you guys have any additional statements, feel free to say them now. If not, we'll go ahead and end this thing. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you guys for having me.
Bye.